Om Shanti. Good morning. Om Shanti. Baba's spoken about the need for yoga, for remembrance, and how that's the only method for purification. And of course, many, many other powerful, beautiful things. But this is the Murli of the 7th of July. There's one particular 7/7 that I'll always remember, and that is 7/7/77, because Dadi Prakash Mani had come on her first Western tour. She'd been to the East in the 50s, and she'd come to London, then she'd gone to New York and the Caribbean. We had centers there by then. Then she was coming back to London, and 7/7/77 in the evening, her flight took off from Kennedy, and just as they were flying off, they saw the whole city go into darkness, and they didn't know what had happened, but at least their flight took off, which was very fortunate, because otherwise it would have created quite an upheaval. Because after that, there were no more flights taking off. It was a time when the whole city went into blackout, and the blackout lasted for a few days. A huge amount of looting and rioting and all sorts of things. So Dadi's flight was the last flight to leave Kennedy. That was 7/7/77. So today it's 7/7/23. Long time ago.
Let's see what happens.
It won't be as dramatic as that, I think. In the essence, sweet children, only by remembering the Father accurately will your sins be absolved. You souls will become pure from impure. The number one subject is remembrance. And Baba's using that English phrase, the number one subject. Question: what request do human beings make, and how does the Father fulfill that request? And in fact, what Baba's calling request, Baba's saying is that when people pray, it's usually a request for something or another. And so, answer: people make a request to the Father. They pray, "O God, the Father, liberate us from committing sin. O merciful Baba, have mercy on us." Having heard everyone's request, Baba himself comes and shows everyone the way to become liberated from committing sin. He says, "Children, remember me." There is no benefit in simply singing the Father's praise. You don't need to praise his divine activity. So what we need to do, you have to study Raj Yoga and become those whose characters are divine. So become that yourself instead of just praising God. Song: the Lord of Innocence is unique. Om Shanti. Whose praise did you hear? The one who reforms that which has been spoiled. That's part of the song. He is the highest on high, who speaks the knowledge of the beginning, the middle, and the end of the world. Whenever someone comes here to understand, the first thing to explain is God is praised as the highest on high. His name is the highest. His place of residence is the highest. It is mentioned in the Granth, the Sikh scripture, that the name of God is the highest and that his abode is also the highest. The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, is the one who resides in the highest place. That is the incorporeal world, where the incorporeal Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, resides. Then below that are the subtle and corporeal world. So first of all, give his introduction. The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, is the truth. He is the creator. And then comes his creation. There is the highest on high, the seed. Then below him, there are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar, the residents of the subtle region. They are the creation, and the creator is above everyone. That creator is the Father. All the rest are his creation. All are children of the one Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. Therefore, all of us souls are brothers. The Supreme Father resides in the Supreme Abode, Param Dham. He is called the Supreme Soul. There are many physical fathers. First of all, give the introduction of the spiritual Father. All are his creation. You also have to draw their attention to the pictures. First, there is the highest on high, Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, the one known as the living seed of the human world tree. He is called the truth, the living being, the embodiment of bliss, Sat Chit Ananda. He is the truth, that is the one who speaks the truth. Souls too are true. They don't burn or die. So the other interpretation of the word Sat, one is truth, honesty, but the other is truth, that which never perishes, that which exists forever. And so the soul also Sat, never dying. In the next sentence, my Father is the truth. So what must I become? The children of the truth must also be truth, true. You were true deities to begin with. The true Baba is the one who established the land of truth. It is not that the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, establishes a land of falsehood. No. Bharat was the land of truth. It then became the land of falsehood. The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, is the truth. The one who makes everyone impure cannot be called the truth. All the rest are false. Maya, Ravan, the five vices, make souls false. Rama is truth, Ravan is false. And so the third translation of truth. So one was the honesty, and the second one, that which is imperishable, and the third, that which is pure.
Okay, repeat please.
Truth, honesty, and secondly, truth, that which is eternal, imperishable, and thirdly, truth, that which is pure. You can see how when something is adulterated, even milk with water, it's not pure milk anymore. And so the soul also impurity, and so it's not true anymore. So Rama, God, is truth, and Ravan, negativity, is false. It is Ravan that makes Bharat false. The whole story is based on Bharat. You have to explain that Bharat was heaven and that it has now become hell. The Father is called the creator of heaven, the one who brings about heaven. It is Bharat that is praised. He tells you the knowledge of the beginning, the middle, and the end of the world, through which you become knowers of the three aspects of time. This is known as a cycle of self-realization. You souls understand that you are now once again claiming your inheritance from the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. It has also been remembered that souls and the Supreme Soul were separated for a long period of time. All this comes in the scriptures. That meeting right now is very beautiful and auspicious. First of all, give the Father's introduction, saying that the Father, the Creator, is omnipresent, doesn't prove that we are all His children. The children wouldn't say they are all the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. With the idea of omnipresence, neither can they have love for the Father, nor can their intellects have yoga with Him. Baba takes up the subject of omnipresence in a lot of detail in every Murli mostly, because it's the most fundamental thing that went wrong in the Copper Age. Instead of recognizing that God is separate and up above, we said God is in us, in you, in me, everything. So neither love for the Father nor yoga. The ancient yoga of Bharat is famous. In fact, your intellects have to be linked in yoga to the Father. If He were omnipresent, then with whom would you have yoga? Would you have yoga with yourself? There is no meaning in that. Here, you understand the meaning of everything. The Father Himself tells you, by having yoga with me, your sins will be absolved. Sinful actions continue to take place. You will reach your karmatit stage, complete karmatit stage at the end. The results will be given when the time of knowledge has ended. When do you think that is? It's happened. Sakar Murli gave the 18 chapters of the Gita. Baba told us when Shiv Baba came on the 21st of January, my good fortune was to be there at that moment, sitting right in front of Baba. And Baba said, the 18 chapters of the Gita have been given. But yes, Baba will continue to meet you and sustain you and support you and help you, entertain you. And so Baba's done that all those years. And then actually, in December 2017, I think it was around the 5th of December, but the early part of December, when Abhyat Baba came, Baba actually made the statement, time is now complete. Who remembers that?
What date was it?
Early December, maybe 5th or 6th of December, 2017.
Oh.
Time is now complete. And we had lots of discussions about what did Baba mean? What did Baba mean? And then I was waiting for 31st December Murli to clarify it. And Baba said not a word about it. Didn't say a word. And again, I happened to be there. The 5th December, I wasn't there. But end of December, I was. And Baba didn't say anything except happiness and love and so on and so on. And there were a few questions that the senior brothers were asking Baba at the end, and so Baba was giving them replies. I was very relaxed. The sisters were singing songs, the brothers were singing songs, Brishmohan Bhai, Ramesh Bhai. Yeah. And then Baba flew away. And we still didn't understand, because then Daddy wasn't well. So 1st or 2nd of January, she went off to Ahmedabad first for a month or two, and from there to Bombay, and she never came back. They would phone her, they would invite her, they would send messages, and I went to see her at least twice every year in Bombay, in February and then October. But just Drishti, she'd really not got into speaking at that point. She was just silent, but very alert, very aware. And just Drishti, very powerful Drishti. And then 4 years later, after Baba had said it, we realized that Baba meant that the role of Avyakt Baba coming into the physical form, time is over. So when Baba is saying here, the results will be given when the time of knowledge has ended. So it's statements like these that make me feel that with all the daddies gone except one, and she's really also in silence mostly, and then Sakar part over, Avyakt part over. And so time of giving knowledge has ended. So that's a big, big warning bell. So, in schools too, some may be clever in one subject and others in another subject. The subject of remembrance, easy or difficult? Baba says both. Sometimes easy, sometimes difficult. And today Baba is saying it's easy. The Father is remembered. By remembering the Father, the soul becomes good. The vessel, the buddhi, becomes clean. Souls that have become impure continue to become pure. The highest on high Father comes and teaches you souls in order to enable you to claim the highest on high status. You change from humans into deities. You understand that the eternal original deity religion definitely did exist. They should not be called Hindus. They changed the name of Bharat to Hindustan, land around the river Indus. And the name of Indus was actually Sindhu River. Then from Sindhu it became Indus, and then from there came India. When there was the pure, original, eternal deity religion, it was called paradise, that is heaven. That is the golden age, and it is called the new world. The Father is the one who creates it. He is incorporeal. Everyone says, O God, the Father. He resides in the highest place. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar have subtle bodies. That is called, you stop for traffic control.
Yeah.
So the music will come on automatically. the subtle region, and the other is the land of peace, the world of silence. This is a physical world. Therefore, first of all, ask anyone who comes to fill a form. Who is the Father of souls? Only God can be called the highest on high. Sages and holy men, etc., all pray. Prayer, let's got another term for it. Praying can also be called making requests. O God, the Father, making request. You've got a shopping list. Sometimes it's physical things that you're asking God for. Can I pass my exam? Can I have a child? All sorts of things. But little children at Christmas time, can I have a bicycle? Maybe it's now more complicated things they ask for. But on a spiritual level also, have mercy on me. I want liberation. All sorts. So, O God the Father, we request you to incinerate our sins. O merciful Baba, have mercy. They call out in this way. Not everyone has mercy. It is only the one Father who has mercy for all. Baba often talks about this group, Sarvodaya, the group that says they have mercy for all. They were around in the 60s at that time. They call themselves Sarvodaya, one who has mercy for all. Now, what do? How many do they have mercy for? The social group. That too is fixed in the drama. You compare that to all the things that are happening now. These aspects are not mentioned in the Gita or Bhagavad. The knowledge comes in the Gita. However, there is no need for anyone's activity in the stories of that. Do students sing the praise of their teacher's activity? There is no benefit in sitting and singing a teacher's praise. You do not receive anything by simply singing the praise of the Father, that he is the ocean of knowledge, the ocean of happiness. Baba wants us to become the master ocean of knowledge, the master ocean of happiness, not just say that you are this, you are this. You children now understand that Baba teaches you Raj Yoga and makes you into knowers of the three aspects of time. He gives you the knowledge of the three aspects of time and the three worlds. Therefore, you were called the Master Lords of the three worlds. You were also called knowers of the three aspects of time. We definitely become the lords who know the three worlds. This is Raj Yoga. We are becoming emperors. The Father is the one who makes us that. It is said, Lord of Divinity. Lakshmi and Narayan are that. Even though there are temples to Lakshmi and Narayan, people do not know who they are or were. Lakshmi and Narayan are called the masters of the land of divinity. They don't know for any of the deities that they actually existed here in the physical dimension. They think deities are somewhere up above and all their activity is up above somewhere there. So that Lakshmi and Narayan had a physical existence here. They don't know that. Lakshmi and Narayan are called the masters of the land of divinity. The golden age is called the land of divinity. You understand that Sri Krishna definitely had palaces of diamonds and jewels. He was a lord of divinity. Therefore, first of all, ask them, do you accept that the Father is the creator of all? That he is also the creator of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar? First of all, have the faith that the Father is the creator of heaven, and that the people there belonged to the original eternal deity religion. When did you receive this knowledge? The Father says, I come every cycle at the confluence age in order to give you knowledge. You are definitely going to become lords of divinity at the beginning of the golden age. This is such first-class knowledge. While sitting here, you understand that you are claiming your inheritance of heaven from Baba, and that you will become lords of divinity and masters of the land of divinity. Your intellects understand how wealthy the deities Lakshmi and Narayan were. They had a lot of jewelry, etc. They were very wealthy. So first of all, recognize the Father and claim your inheritance from him. You have to claim your inheritance by having remembrance. This is a subtle aspect. There were many huge palaces of diamonds and jewels, but they no longer exist. They will be constructed again at the right time. They existed and disappeared. They will definitely exist again. This is fixed in the drama. You have to use your intellects to understand these aspects. Everything gets destroyed in the war, then the palaces will be built anew. They must definitely have built palaces. You also have visions of how the palaces came into existence. We are the ones who built them. It is not that they went beneath the sea and that they will now emerge again from there. It's a myth in India, that Dwarka, the place where Krishna lived for a period, that went below the ocean. And regularly in the Indian press, every few years, there'll be somebody who says, oh, we found the remains of Dwarka. It's a regular story. And of course, then they find that it's not really. But so they think that one of the stories that a time will come when it'll again rise up again from the ocean. So I was saying, no, it's the cycle of drama that's continuing to turn. So Kali goes below and Satya comes up and then down again. They think that Ravan's Lanka and the golden Dwarka were submerged and will emerge again. However, it is not like that. You are now becoming the masters of Dwarka, the place of heaven. You were so prosperous, you had everything, wealth and property. All of that has now disappeared. It was all taken away. Even all the treasures that the kings had, finally in the 50s, that was taken away by the government. So everything. The same will happen again. First of all, give the Father's introduction and then explain the secrets of how the cycle turns. It is the Father who establishes the golden age. Baba now sits here personally and tells you, remember me. It is through this fire of remembrance that you become pure from impure. There is no other way. It is in this fire of yoga that you souls become pure from impure. The purifier Father comes and establishes the pure world. So why do you then say that the Ganges is the purifier? Many contradictions in Bharat. To do tapasya, penance, and bathe in the Ganges, etc., are all paraphernalia of the path of devotion. The path of devotion was unadulterated to begin with, and it then became adulterated. It took half a cycle for it to become adulterated. From 16 celestial degrees, it decreased to 14, and the degrees continue to decrease. The Father, the ocean of knowledge, explains this. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar cannot be called the ocean of knowledge, the seed of the human world tree. When you say Supreme Father, your intellects are not drawn to Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar. Usually when they talk about God, it's one incorporeal, supreme one. When souls experience sorrow, they remember the Father, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. There is happiness in the Golden Age. Therefore, no one there calls out to him. You souls now understand that you have experienced sorrow. How long? One birth, two births, a few births, half a cycle, 2,500 years, maybe with mind, maybe with body, maybe with wealth, maybe with relationships, but something was always missing. You have experienced sorrow for half a cycle, and that you are now going to heaven once again. There is no sorrow in the Golden Age, and so there is no need there to remember Baba. According to the drama, Baba will return home only after giving us our inheritance of happiness. When people grow old, they go into the stage of retirement and adopt a guru. Here, the Father himself comes and becomes your Satguru, the true Guru. He says, I will take you all back home with me. No one else can say this. No one else can take you back with him. Everyone definitely has to take rebirth and play a part. I do not take birth again and again. If I too were to take birth again and again, I would also become Tamopradhan. It is the souls that become impure. Alloy is mixed into the soul. The terms Golden Age and Silver Age are used now. When we're in the Golden Age, you won't say, we're enjoying the Golden Age. When we come to the Silver Age again, there's no label in our minds. And now it is definitely the Iron Age. It is now the confluence. Therefore, the Father definitely has to come. It is the Father's task to transform the old world and make it new. The Father is the purifier, that is the one who transforms the world. He is not the creator of the world, but the one who transforms it. By his being called the creator, human beings think that a huge annihilation takes place. The word purifier is accurate. Rather than creating the world, God actually purifies the world. So the title purifier is accurate. Sages sing, O purifier, Sita of Rama. They never sing, the Ganges is a purifier. By your saying purifier, their intellects are drawn to the Supreme Soul, incorporeal, the one up above. Then they don't usually remember Vishnu or Lakshmi or Narayan or anything like that. The Ganges is not the purifier. That is just water, and it will exist there. However, everything there is Satupradhan. The Ganges is also Satupradhan. Here it is Tamopradhan. It creates floods and drowns villages, etc. The Brahmaputra river drowns so many villages. This is a land of sorrow. You will not experience sorrow in the golden age. There, these rivers will follow their course accurately, according to the law of nature. Here they leave their course and flow here and there and everywhere. Because the 5 elements of nature are Satopradhan there, water never causes sorrow. Here, even water causes sorrow. Even on the one side is the source of life, and on the other side it's also the taker of life. First of all, you have to understand who gives the happiness of heaven. Surely, it must be the Father. It is now hell. Baba has come. You are the children of Prajapita Brahma, Brahma Kumars and Kumaris. The new world can only be created when Prajapita Brahma exists. It is said that humans were changed into deities. Who changed them? The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. Sri Krishna himself was a deity. Only the Father comes and changes humans into deities. It is now that you don't know, it is now that you know this. Previously, you just used to sing the praise of human beings being changed into deities. You didn't know who created the Golden Age, or who the Creator is, or how the Golden Aged world changed into the Iron Aged world. You children have understood that this is a huge stage under the element of the sky. The play is performed on this. A big open stage is needed. Light is also needed when human beings are playing their parts. Therefore, the sun and moon serve you in this way. And so they call devtas, the ones who give, deities. The stars also shine. When night falls, they give light. That is happiness. This is why people say deity sun, deity moon. They give the happiness of light to the sweetest, beloved, long lost, and now found children. Love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, Bab Dada, the spiritual father says namaste to the spiritual children. And the essence for the Harana. Understand the cycle of the drama accurately and make effort accordingly. Become as merciful as the Father and have mercy on everyone. Baba puts the parameters right at the top, like the Father. The Father is establishing the land of truth. Therefore, remain true to him. Clean the soul by having remembrance of the Father. And the blessing. May you be constantly free from any disease of Maya and attain immortal fruit by having the intention of serving. The children who eat the fruit from God, the imperishable fruit, the fruit is filled with the sweetness of the love of all relationships at the confluence age, and this will remain constantly free from disease of Maya. All relationships with one, then the soul has the strength to withstand Maya's attractions. Other fruits will still be received in the Golden Age and also in the Iron Age. But if you don't eat the instant fruit from your intention of serving, the fruit from God now, then you won't be able to eat it throughout the whole cycle. This fruit is the fruit of God's magic. And by eating this fruit, iron will not just change into gems, but it will change into diamonds. This fruit is the immortal fruit that finishes all obstacles. The sweetness of the relationship with God and all the other attainments, the treasures that God gives. Just experience those and stay lost in that love. And whatever obstacle appears, it'll feel that it's very insignificant. There's nothing to it. There's nothing that can compare to God's love. And where I want God's love, God the ocean pours out that love. Slogan.
Explanation.
The children who eat the fruit from God, the imperishable fruit, the fruit filled with the sweetness of the love of all relationships at the confluence age, will remain constantly free from the disease of Maya. Other fruits will still be received in the Golden Age and also in the Iron Age. But if you don't eat the instant fruit from your intention of serving, that fruit from God now, then you won't be able to eat it throughout the whole cycle. This fruit is the fruit of God's magic. And by eating this fruit, iron will not just change into gems, but it will change into diamonds. This fruit is the immortal fruit that finishes all obstacles. Yeah. Slogan. Souls who uplift those who defame them and consider them to be their friends are equal to the Father. Baba demonstrated this, helping those who were defaming him and seeing them as friends. So equal to the Father.
No, I don't see it. We have printed them, but well, it's
Is that okay? Otherwise, I get the printed one.
That's fine.
Sorry.
This is the Avyak signal for today. To become humble is to maintain your self-respect. And this is the easy way to receive respect from everyone. To become humble is not to bow down, but to make everyone bow down to your speciality and your love.
Maybe, vielleicht können alle kurz mal ihre Kamera hier anmachen. I'm just trying to show Jayanti who is online. Vielleicht könnt ihr kurz mal eure Kamera anmachen. Ich weiß nicht, wie das. This is Florian who did the film.
Oh, Shanti, lovely to see you all. Let's have a couple of moments of silence, and then I'd like to take up a few points from the Murli. the term that I like most of all for Satyug is the age of truth. And the direct translation of Satyug is this age of truth. And that's when souls were aware of their identity as being eternal. There was total purity, and everything was true and transparent and honest. One of the things that people often talk about the Golden Age is that the communication there is in silence, that you're able to catch each other's thoughts. Would you like that to happen today? It'd be a bit dangerous. I don't necessarily want to know what you're thinking about me. And who knows what I'm thinking about you. And so we don't want transparency, and we don't want to be able to pick up each other's thoughts. And Baba doesn't give us permission for that anyway. But also it's not something that we would want. But when souls have become Sato Pradhan and the sanskars are clean and pure, and no past histories are recalled or remembered, then coming into that environment, of course, there's only truth, but truth that emerges from each one. And so, yes, that's the important factor, that Satyug is the age of truth. Silver Age, a little of that truth has diminished, it's weakened a bit. But Copper Age, where the hand of the swastika turns in the opposite direction, Swa, the self, Astik, realization. So swastika actually means self-realization. And then halfway through, the hand moves in the opposite direction. And so where it was slow and natural decline from 16 to 14, but then there's a very dramatic shift in the energy of Baba's children, souls at that time. And that is what creates all the upheaval that happens in that confluence between Silver and Copper Age, which is where everything disappears, so that there's no written history or acknowledgement that there was a time when it really was Satyug here on the planet Earth. So Brahma takes care of that, just disappears, whether it's earthquakes, whether it's tornadoes, whatever it may be. But all trace of the Golden Age disappears except in the memory of souls. And so from time to time, different people have visions, different people have churnings about the Golden Age and so on. So the memory of that world stays with souls. And then Copper Age, and the impurity just continues to get worse and worse, which is why everybody loves little children. And now we know that they're not angels. They've got lots of sanskars, but at least they're innocent. And so the purity of innocence attracts us to them. Everybody will smile when they see a little child happy. When a little child is crying, they leave it to the mother to sort out. They won't approach the child. But when the baby is smiling, yesterday there were 3 little children on the flight, and they were very lovely children. And they only started screaming when we had to wait in line at immigration for about an hour. But the rest of the time, they were just smiling away beautifully, and everybody's attention was drawn to them. Whoever would walk past. So the innocence. But Copper Age, that innocence disappears. The Bible puts it in the context of eating the apple. And it wasn't knowledge of good things, it was knowledge of the body. And so you eat from the apple of the tree of knowledge, and the knowledge is the knowledge of matter, the knowledge of the body. And so that's when falsehood creeps in. No more truth, attention connected with this. And then you see Kali, total darkness, no truth in somebody's words. Even the sannyasis used to say, niti niti, we don't know, we don't have all the answers. And here, of course, now, everybody has the answers and everybody thinks they're speaking the truth. And so we see how Kali reaches its critical point when you enter an era of post-truth. No more truth around. Post-truth, it doesn't exist anymore. And at such a time, we need a lot of power from Baba so that we're able to maintain our journey of becoming pure and true and coming to the stage where, yes, I have that motivation inside of me. Purity is what I want. I think something comes into our intellect and there's a knocking and then the conscience speaks. When we realize that purity is natural. In Kali, where everything is false, people would say impurity is natural. That is the norm. And if somebody wants to follow purity, they'll say this person's abnormal. They'll actually say that. And so everything topsy-turvy. And when I realized that peace and purity are my own original natural state of being, then I need power. And God is the powerhouse and can supply me with however much power I need. We were thinking about addictive behavior the other day in London, and how even if a person wants to let go of drugs, for example, they really want, but they don't have power. And why it is that whether it's substance addictions or addictions to ego and anger and greed, etc., the more subtle addictions, but they're addictions nonetheless, how come people who start meditating are able to let go of cigarettes within 3 days? I've seen it happen in 3 days. They're able to change their diet within a day. They're able to let go of drugs very quickly. I don't know the time it takes them because nobody's told me, well, it took me a week or a month. But when they've recovered, then they say, yes, this is what used to happen. And now I'm not into that anymore. And the difference is power. You're taking power through yoga, and the power is enabling you to follow through what your heart really desires, what your conscience is telling you you have to do. And so external things, yes, able to let go of that, but internal things, the ego, the anger, the greed, and they all exist in everyone to a certain extent or another. And some they exist in a big way, and it's very manifest. But for everyone, everyone's Tamo Pradhan. And so there's no one who's escaped from that law that says in Kali, everyone, everything is Tamo Pradhan. And so now at this point, when we know that we're fortunate because God found us, we're fortunate because we've been practicing yoga for X period of time, we're fortunate because we have a place where we can come and meditate. Just imagine where there's a war going on and centers have been hit and there's no more center. And even in some cases where there's no more the Brahmin family that used to exist there, that's also disappeared. So a very, very dark period in which I have to make sure I stay connected with God and draw power from God to do what He's asking me to do, both for the self as well as the world. So can we help others understand this? It then becomes like social work in a sense, but it's still important that we help each other to follow Baba's path, but also help the world out there because they desperately need God. So the truth and becoming the truth ourselves, that was one big thing from the Murli. And the second thing, Baba often reminds us, you are the master of three worlds. You are the masters of time. You are the masters of the drama. So looking at that and just thinking, Baba has such humility and love for us that Baba really lifts us up every day in the Murli. Every day is a special dose to help us move forward. And so even missing one day, and the souls definitely come down a bit, miss a few more days, and you're beginning to create a habit. And once not waking up for Amrit Vela or Murli or class, whatever it may be, if once I go on that journey, it's a very quick downward slope and I'm unable to drag myself out of it. And so very, very important that yoga with one, yoga with God, yoga with the Supreme, to understand how to do that. Sitting here, I can fly to Paramdham. Baba spoke about it today. So wherever it is we are, if there's that awareness of really just staying connected with Baba so that I can have all the treasures that Baba wants me to have. So those were a few things that I picked up. Any questions from Murli?
Habt ihr irgendwelche Fragen? Jetzt ist die Chance.
I have a question for I not today, but does Baba's Yagya also go through the 4 stages?
What was it?
Does Baba's Yagya also go through the 4 stages of Sattva Rajo?
When we'd asked Didi this question, she categorically denied it and said that no, it doesn't pass through the 4 stages because the image of the seed is more relevant to the confluent stage than anything else. From the seed, then the tree grows and then it expands, and then it really is huge. And so by the time we get to the end of Sangam Yuga, everybody has received God's knowledge to a certain extent, or at least the introduction of God. So that has been Dadi's answer.
But it seemed to be different phases, isn't it? If one remembers the start, what we had this morning, what was very experience orientated, and then Sakat time, then the Avyak time, and then the times on social media. So it has different,
Definitely different phases. And I could even put it a little bit more differently. The first phase was when all the daddies emerged and I would say the 8 jewels emerged. And Dadi would always say that anyone can be part of the 8 jewels, but if you actually look at the reality, it's the daddies who have that qualification, and we saw that in their life. And then the next phase was all the rivers of knowledge that emerged in the 50s. And so they've gone across the world and served not only Bharat, they've gone all over Bharat, they've also come all over the world. And they did huge, huge service. And then there came a phase when it was really the turn of the double foreigners. And that service has been happening in a beautiful way. And it seems to be so that the first jewels that come in every country are very powerful. And then gradually the percentage out of the people who are coming is no more that percentage in which they say, yes, I'm going to start Murli every morning. How many of you give courses? How many of you at the end of a course, how many of you, your students say, yes, I'm going to be there in morning class every day. In early days, when we gave the course, yes, some would drop along the line, but by the time they reached the final period of the course, we knew that they'd make it to class next morning, and they did. And that doesn't happen anymore. And of course, then there came that era of Baba's children giving Gyan online, and so many come to Baba through that. Last year and this year, especially last year a few, but this year more. In February, March season 23, every group from every country, we have them stand up by region and by country. Every single group had some Zoom babies. And so people who... babies. And that too. So out of the Zoom babies, I'm seeing how, again, you have number-wise. There are some who come once a week, some come once a month, but there are also some who try and come every day. And then obviously there's family and work and everything else, but they have that intention of coming every day. And so it is different phases, definitely. And the phase that we are now going through, I think it's more serving the whole tree. And so just being the embodiment of the essence of knowledge, so that we are able to demonstrate what God's Gyan is, not just tell people, but demonstrate it. And really the most important things to take people through is soul and God and Paramdham. Because when it's time to go home, then they'll need to know that I'm going to a safe place. I'm going to a place of peace. Soul and God, of course, they need to know that anyway. But also, they will know that I'm leaving behind a world which is falling apart. It'll be quite visible that the world is falling apart. People will understand why and how and what's happening.
Not mentioning Dharma much, because I'm not mentioning Dharma much. I mean this.
Or even the cycle, or even rebirth. If they're interested, they'll ask you questions, and then you can mention them. But no point in talking about rebirth unless the main thing is they've had yoga and are continuing to practice that connection with God. Then to understand how impure the soul is, that's easy. If you've been through all these births after birth, after birth, after birth, naturally coming into matter, being influenced by matter, and at that point then getting confused about the world or Gyan, people get very confused sometimes. So if I restrict what I know, every soul must carry that information before they journey back home. So then I have to focus on these aspects in particular. Okay, I'm seeing that lots of trays have arrived, and so those on webcast don't have the possibility of transmutation of matter, and we send the toli across to you.
Kommt das was vor, die mitgeholfen haben? Caroline, Ravi, Niranjan, komm hervor. Anjali,
Gerd, kommt mal her.
Shall we all hug her?
Yeah. That's the team which maybe was cooperative. for the
Miranda did a
program.
great job with the live streaming yesterday. First time.
They did all their very, very best.
And Gerd did the other technique.
And Thorsten took care of the
All around.
translation.
And Ravi. And here, Shivang, come on.
Oh, Shivang, come here. Shivang. He helped with the big
He helped
chairs
with all
and the
sorts of
flowers.
things.
So
Many
Yeah.
things, yeah.
Florian, kannst du,
Yeah,
kannst du was
come here, Shivang.
Baba
Yes, it's
doesn't
good.
have any hands and feet.
Yeah, that's right. Baba wouldn't have any hands and feet. How could he do anything?
Thank you. Margaret did the toolies. Margaret, come here.
Accurateist.
Margit, du musst auch noch hier drauf. Du bist Berliner. Komm.
Margit, komm.
Komm hier. Komm, Margit. Please, come.
Ein Bild mit der Familie.
Please
Komm, komm,
come,
komm.
come.
Wir machen nur schnell das Foto.
Genau.
Das tut auch nicht weh.
Margit, come.
Hallo. Sit down, Margit.
Yeah.
Yeah, come.
Yeah.
Danke, Florian.
Ja. Sehr gut.
And Florian has arrived to the Berlin arena from far away,
Such a-
Australia.
Such a program won't be possible with all working together.
Mm,
So it's a
that's right.
wonder of cooperation.
taking video?
Such programs.
Do you remember Florian? Yeah.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah, now we make a photo with you.
Now we make a photo with all together. You are Sandra. You are Sandra. And you are Dilek. Come. And you also, brother. Come, we make a photo with all together.
Where?
Yes, 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 you don't have to go.
Sandra and Bela come from West Germany, where there's no center. So they came all the way, like 6 hours drive, or I don't know how many hours drive.
4 hours with the train.
With the train.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah.
And were you there last night for the program?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Good.
They were there, yes.
Come.
It's my vibration.
Everyone. Come,
Ja,
come,
kommt mal
come.
alle her.
Everyone.
Come all.
Now,
I'll sit da you stand
We
here.
have gifts here. That's
Okay,
Ja.
wo ist das Ganze?
Kommt noch mal alle.
Oh, sorry.
Kommt hier noch mal.
Maybe sitting with
maybe. What's with the Zoom? They are all still here.
Yes.
Okay, all Shanti all together.
Alle sind ausgeblendet, bis auf Bernd.
Ah,
Ja, damit man dich am besten sieht.
ja.
So, mit die da, ja? Okay.
Du hast die Antwort.
Wait.
Wer geht?
Oh,
Mina. Sorry. Oh, Shanti.
Is everyone on?
Thank you.
Want to go?
ja.
Marlene.
Edda.
Ja, ich wollte das eigentlich ja noch.
Oh, na, ich will ja da schauen. Das ist doch egal.
Ja.
Jetzt ist gut.
Good, thank you.
Wow.
Yes, yes, she's very sick. Marlene, she's very sick.
Marlene.
Yeah. So that is,
Jayanti.
yeah.
Wunderbar. Und Andresen. Und Lebensfreude ist auch da.
First, a gift for our divine Sister Jayanti.
Mm.
Thank you.
Looks good.
Thank you.
And this from the whole Berlin family.
Thank you.
Jetzt Schlussrunde.
Okay,
So kommt einfach und holt mich euer Frühstück ab.
kleine Frühstück. Ja, ich muss ihr die Segen
Those
anreichen.
who have to leave, please come forward first.
Geh mir mal aus dem Weg, bitte, Hilfe, weil die Segen kommen hierher.
Früher los, ne?
Ja, deswegen.
Ja, ja, schon gut. Noch ein, ja. Noch ein.
So good luck with everything. Oh, exactly.
Like,
We have to bring greetings from Murli from below.
Lovely, thank you.
Could also give the toys you brought me.
What if you want to keep it?
we didn't find them. No, no, it's fine. We didn't find them.
Wir brauchen noch einen Löffel, Spoons, please. Wer hat noch nicht? Ravi?
Mit den zwei Kirschen ist für Sister Jayanti. It's yours with the two. Ist ja alles? You all have? Good. What? No, it's so small, no? Okay. Yes. Some.
Oder ich habe da gepackt und das ist eine Truck, ja, der Öl liefert. Und ich habe nur Fragezeichen auf der Durchgang. Also.
people still haven't switched off.
Not many.
I think we finish it.